Tourette's is way more common for boys, Connor barked as we stood there surveying the room. The other kids didn't seem at all fazed by his barking, but they watched me with curiosity. That was okay. A pretty woman walked into the room and introduced herself to us. I'm Andrea, she said, shaking Connor's hand. Are you Connor? Connor nodded, barked, shrugged, blinked his eyes. He was nervous, I could tell. And you're Avon, Connor's friend, Andrea said. Nice to meet you, I said. Why don't you two find a place to sit and we'll get started? I could see Andrea also had Tourette's by the way she made a funny counting motion with her fingers. But other than that, she seemed to keep it under control. I wondered if she had a milder form of Tourette's, or if she had learned how to control it. If so, I wanted to find out how for Connor. Chicken Nipple Boy moved over a seat so Connor and I could sit next to each other. He yelled out, Chicken Nipple! As I sat down next to him. Then he leaned over and whispered to me, Do you have Tourette's? I shook my head. No. Oh, Chicken Nipple! I do, in case you Chicken Nipple! Didn't notice. I grinned at him. I wasn't really sure. I'm Dexter, he said. Chicken Nipple! I'm Avon. Well, Andrea said, sitting down at the circle, I guess we can get started. Everyone, we have a couple of new friends with us tonight. She turned to us. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves? Connor was ticking badly, so I spoke. I'm Avon. Avon doesn't have Tourette's, Andrea said. Yeah, I laughed. Can you imagine? What a doozy that would be. Dexter laughed out loud and shouted, Chicken Nipple! And the other kids softly chuckled a bit. I liked Dexter already. At least if you had Tourette's, At least if you had Tourette's, the completely monotone, expressionless girl sitting across from me said, you wouldn't have to worry about slapping yourself in the face all the time like I do. As though on cue, the girl slapped herself in the face. Yeah, but you should see what Avon can do with her feet, Connor said, blinking his eyes rapidly. Face slapping isn't that far-fetched. I want to, Chicken Nipple! See what you can do with your feet, Dexter said. Maybe later if we have time and Avon doesn't mind, Andrea said, smiling. She clearly enjoyed the lighthearted conversation among us kids, and honestly, so did I. Andrea turned her attention to Connor. Introduce yourself, Connor. I'm Connor. I do have Tourette's, as if you couldn't tell, he barked. Well, welcome, you two, Andrea said. We're so happy to have you. Why don't we all go around and introduce ourselves? We'll start with you, Dexter. Chicken Nipple! I'm Dexter, and as you can see, I love to say Chicken Nipple. Chicken Nipple! Connor gaped at Dexter. I have to know, why Chicken Nipple? Why not another word? Dexter has a rarer form of Tourette's called coprolalia, Andrea explained. He says words and phrases, some of which people may find inappropriate, but he can't help it. Connor turned his attention back to Dexter. Yeah, but why Chicken Nipple? Dexter laughed. Sometimes I say other Chicken Nipple things. I'm glad when it's just Chicken Nipple. Chicken Nipple! Sometimes I say barbecue or pirate ship or I love bubble baths and some Chicken Nipple other things. Sometimes I say my own name, which is really embarrassing for some reason. One time I went through a short period, Chicken Nipple, when I said, I'll punch a baby every time I saw a baby. That was awful. Chicken Nipple! People would run away from me with their Chicken Nipple babies. Dexter looked at me with a straight face. Chicken Nipple! I swear I would never punch a baby. I like babies. I believe you, I said, trying to maintain a straight face myself. This is so fun to read. Oh my gosh. Just then, Dexter cried out, Barbecue chicken sandwiches! And everyone laughed, especially Dexter. I normally would never in a million years laugh at someone's disability, but I realized we were all laughing with Dexter, certainly not at him. And it was okay. I think it made everyone feel better in a way. Josh introduced himself next. Josh made the same whooping sound all the time and had what Andrea explained were several motor tics. This included bending over a lot and sort of like playing air guitar. Other than that, Josh was quiet. The girl introduced herself as Rebecca. I already knew Rebecca slapped herself in the face. She even wore little padded gloves to help soften the blows. Poor thing. I had never realized Tourette's could be painful, even damaging to the person who had it. Rebecca also grunted and coughed a lot, even though she didn't have a cold or anything. Jack rolled his eyes constantly and shook his head. He also made a strange yelling sound like nothing I had ever heard, like he sucked in air so fast it made a shrieking sound. Zachary rolled his shoulders so much he feared he would need surgery on his already worn-down 15-year-old joints. Mason made constant farting noises with his mouth and pulled on his hair, which made his hair patchy because he pulled on it so much that some of it would come out at times. Mason had over 50 ticks, he told us. I couldn't imagine having to deal with that many uncontrollable things going on in my body. Besides Dexter, Mason's ticks were probably the most embarrassing of the group. He hardly ever went out in public, like Connor. So sad. Andrea guided us into a discussion on how we felt about going out in public, more specifically, going places like the movies, library, etc. Connor wasn't alone in not liking to go to the movies. No one ever really went. Rebecca was the only one who felt okay going to most places because her vocal tics weren't as loud as the others and could almost sound normal at times if you assumed she had a bad cough or something. People still got annoyed by her frequently, though. As cool as Dexter was, he was terrified of going out in public. I guess, he said, "I'll punch a baby!" in front of some dad holding a baby in the drugstore one day, and the dad nearly attacked him. Had Dexter's mom not intervened, it could have been bad. Once again, I thought if he had been wearing a t-shirt explaining he had Tourette's, maybe the situation could have been avoided. Dexter also had obsessive-compulsive disorder, which Andrea explained often accompanied Tourette's. It was hard for him to leave the house because he worried so much that the stove and oven were on at home. He even asked if he could call his mom a couple of times during the meeting so he could have her check them. Andrea let him. It sounded as though most everyone's parents were supportive and understanding of their Tourette's. Well, everyone except Connor's parents. Some of their extended family members, such as aunts, uncles, and grandparents, often accused them of faking it for attention, like Connor's dad. I thought it would be exhausting to put on such an act all the time. I couldn't fathom why anyone would want to do such a thing or how anyone could think they were doing it. It was strange listening to everyone speak among a cacophony of barking, farting, whooping, shrieking, and chicken nipples. It was also strangely comforting. No one cared about my lack of arms. They were all far too caught up in their own struggles, and I, for once, felt completely normal among this group of misfits. I hoped Connor felt the same way and would come back with me again. "So, how was the meeting?" Mom asked as she drove us home. "It was great." I looked at Connor for confirmation. "Yeah," Connor said. "It was really good." He looked out the window. "That's great. What did you guys talk about?" "All kinds of stuff," I said, like what everyone's tics were and how they felt about going out in public and things like that. I could see Mom watching Connor in the rearview mirror. "Do you think it was helpful, Connor?" He said absent-mindedly. "I asked if you thought it was helpful," Mom said again. Connor shrugged. "I guess so, yeah. It was nice to meet other kids like me. What?" I asked when Connor trailed off. "I'm worried I'll start swearing like Dexter." "I don't really think of chicken nipple as a swear word," I said. "You know what I mean." "You heard Andrea," I said. "That's pretty rare." "Yeah, but Dexter started out like me too, making strange noises and movements. And then one day he said chicken nipple and everything changed. I guess I'm afraid the same thing will happen to me." I couldn't see Connor's face as he gazed out his window. "Things are hard enough the way they are. I can't imagine how hard it would be if I started saying obnoxious things all the time. I think I'd rather have brain surgery at that point." "You shouldn't worry about it," I said. "I think the more you worry about it and stress yourself out, the worse your tics will be. And maybe if you start saying words, it will just be normal stuff like 'I love African safaris' or something like that." Connor chuckled. "That's normal?" "Yes, for someone who loves African safaris. I don't think you should think about it too much." "When's the next meeting?" Mom asked, obviously trying to change the subject. "Next month," I said. "They meet once a month. We should go back because we're going to talk about relaxation and how it can help when we're out in public." "You mean when we're out in public?" Connor said. "You don't have to worry about that stuff, Avon." "Maybe not that kind of stuff. I may not have tics, but I still have to deal with people staring at me and treating me like I'm different." "Yeah, but you don't call attention to yourself. I think I'd give up my arms to get rid of my Tourette's." "Don't say that," I said. "I like you just the way you are." "Really?" Connor gave me a skeptical look. "Yep, tics and all." Poor buddy. Okay, that was an amazing chapter, and I had so much fun reading it. I hope you did too. I miss you guys. Bye.